I'm taking a look at Nucleum. I'm being really excited to bring you guys this video, but equally, I'm a little bit nervous. Hello all, welcome to the channel. My name is Craig, and today, yes, I am finally bringing you my thoughts on Nucleum, and what a game this is, folks. I remember it coming out pre-Essen a year, 2 years ago, and the neon green struck me like a lightning bolt, and I was like, no, thank you. I do not want a piece of that. I was intrigued, don't get me wrong, and at some point, something just clicked. People were talking about it. It was getting a lot of buzz, and I was like, I just need to play it. So I got a copy. I spent a lengthy process learning them rules, watching other fantastic content producers out there, and praise to them other content producers, because this is no easy feat trying to get this to you guys across in a manner that really describes the game. And this isn't an overview, this isn't a run through, this is the easy option. I'm just talking about it. I played it and I fell in love with this game, and that is the truth. The first play, I was like, wow, I can take these action tiles here and I've got multiple use. Am I going to place them as rails on the board, or am I going to use them as actions above your player board? And then the more actions you get, the more benefits you can potentially get if you've worked hard on those. And yes, the concept's not new, but the way it just all came together was outstanding. And after a play or two, I was still enamored with it. I was curious, how can I make this work for me? How can I figure out that strategy? But 7-8 plays, and I've still yet to really find that winning strategy. I'm not saying there is one route or one path to victory, but it's such a dynamic game, and a lot of people relate to Brass Birmingham, maybe Brass Lancashire, and Barrage. And yes, I definitely think there's many similarities. I can only comment on Brass Birmingham. It's a game I've played 25 times now. I love that game. Have yet to play a Barrage, which is a travesty. I don't even know how that's happened. I still have yet to play that one. But the similarities with Brass, absolutely, they are there. There's the whole network. There's a whole development. You're industrialist. You're trying to power things, develop, get those VPs, make money here and there, use your workers. So lots of similarities. My thoughts on this game then. So where to begin then? Now, my stance on this is mainly from a two-player perspective. I've had a few games three-player, not touched four-player. I daren't even risk it. The table presence and the sprawling nature of this game is insane. You can just about squeeze it on my large table here with 2 players. 3 players, I needed a separate side table to put stuff on. So good luck. If you're going into this game expecting a 4-player experience in the time frame it recommends, 90 to 120 minutes, good luck with that. So for me, the sweet spot and what I've played most, 2 players. Now, before I forget about it, I will touch briefly on solo. I spent a good afternoon learning them rules, another evening kind of set up and trying my best to get that to the table. Unfortunately, it was just a lot. It was too much admin for me, too much upkeep, keeping on top of the Baron and what they were supposed to do, rolling this dice, deciding do they do that, do that. It was like I couldn't even focus on my ghost. So for me, no, I would not play this game solo. What do I think then? Yes, I've already said my first 2 plays, enamored with it. 3-4 plays in, I was still perplexed. I wanted to get to grips with it. And even then, there were still rules that had popped out that I was like, wow, we've got that wrong. We need to play again. Boom, we're playing it again. And after about 5-6 plays, that's where I started to feel comfortable. The rules set, how the networks work, how you energize, how you recharge. And yes, you can understand all that. And the actual player aids are super, folks. It's all there. It's just remembering it all and not forgetting a little twist where the Nucleum can only do this at a turbine, or you pay someone a coin, or don't forget the coal on the side, and just there's many little things to keep on top of. And sometimes you feel like you need a notepad next to you just to remember what you're actually trying to do. Because, like I said, it is so dynamic. What other players are rushing for or trying to achieve then kind of impacts where maybe you are going. If they get their prestige up high and put a Nucleum station out there, you're like, okay, I can take advantage of that. But it's not all related to that. You can have fun in your own little area, your own little corner, because you can utilize these tiles, these actions superbly. You can just place them anywhere, and then all of a sudden you have access to any part of the board, which is crazy. That's a massive difference. And you're trying to get the colors to match. And if you can do that, and you can go and develop and just hog a load of these tiles, place them all down, there is very good reason for doing that. There's a lot of victory points depending on the contracts, depending on what where have I got it? Depending on your actual technology. You know, these bad boys sway your game. There's only 4. Are you going to be more about energizing? Are you going to be more about placing these rails down? These do dictate your play. If you play well, when you get really good at the game, you need to be harnessing those technologies and utilizing those strengths and benefits there. So 5-6 plays later then, and I'm still trying to grasp how I can get at this game. And it's just becoming really familiar with all those actions. You've got them all here, clearly in front of you. Developing, super. I love getting more tiles. You're going to be utilising them, trying to make your network bigger here. Take advantage of the double action if you can. Get VPs for going to some of these 2 or 3 size rails. You've got contracts. That notion of putting a contract, you get the benefit straight away on the side of your board there. And that extra, green nuclear token, or uranium should I call it, or that extra work or extra money, can just trigger this chain reaction of, yes, I can now do this to do that to do this. So that sort of chaining effect is excellent and really keeps your mind boggled and the crunchy decisions over how to utilize that one worker. But I need to get a mine out, or I need to get a turbine out. This game does that to the max. It just keeps you on edge, thinking constantly. And I'll speak a little bit more about that down the road later, because it is almost its downfall as well. You've got to industrialize. You are trying to get those mines out. You're trying to get the turbines, not so much for people to make the use of them, but just to process. Because when you go to energize these buildings, and some of them, you're paying up to 9, 12, and you want those because they're giving you nice perks along the way, and they're just VPs at the end, and you need them to maybe fulfill these contracts. Urbanize, you want to get the buildings out. It was only after 2 games you realised you didn't have to go in a specific order. You could pick any building you want. You've got energize then, which is probably the trickiest concept in the game of actually figuring out, right, I can get that station there to power only a certain quantity of uranium. I can then get coal from here. And then remembering all your little benefits on your player board. You've got like a discount on coal, maybe you've got some free energy. So remembering all those aspects is certainly the level you get to after 5-6 plays. So what am I talking about here? I'm trying to get across to you guys that this isn't a game you go in and you play once and you fully grasp it. Good luck to you and well done if you can. But it's not a game you're going to bring to game night once every year and just have a great time. You need to invest in this. You need to play it several times to really grasp everything, and then you need to play it more and more. And that's what I did. But I'm here to tell you, it gets to a stage where you're like, is the juice worth the squeeze? The base game, eventually I got to a point I was like, this is just too similar from game to game. Which is nice. You want familiarity from game to game. You play an 18xx game, you play brass, it's all similar. But there is levels to them games. There's layers where you are outdoing your opponents, and that adds a whole extra meta game almost. And I think this game is just a little bit too much flexibility. The networks, you can, once joined up, utilize anyone's network to get the resources you need. There's certain spots, take that type-esque in the game, where you can hinder someone from getting to a location where there's mines to access, because they've actually got the only rail network there. But generally speaking, the game is utilised by everyone. You can go anywhere, everyone. And I just wonder whether that, for me, is the slight downfall in this game. And that is where the expansion comes in. I was very eager to give Australia a try. Got it straight away, and it changed the game, folks. I would not play the base game again, in my opinion. Australia makes it more balanced, it's fairer. Yes, it looks completely different, but it's got more like a desert area, and that's generally where the mines are focused. And you're trying to draw that energy over to Tasmania. Not necessarily that specific spot, but around there. And the ships, folks, these, at first, I thought, aren't actually adding a lot to the game. Yes, I get a ship, I can move resources here to then energize there. But after 2-3 plays with this expansion, it all made sense and why they've introduced this. I found that in the base game, everyone is rushing for Praha. You have to, it's double points. And it almost spoiled the game. Everyone was like, you're getting to Praha, I have to do that because I'll just lose too many points otherwise. Yes, you can focus on other areas of the board and try and get your contracts, but just too many points in Praha. And that's what the games became about, is rushing there to get those limited spots. Whereas Australia, it's way more balanced. Even if you go to Tasmania, which you in your first play like, oh, it must be vital getting there, and maybe I have missed a trick, maybe there's something cool there. Well, it does have the first Nucleum power station, which is great, gets things going, but you can't take that energy elsewhere. It's about transporting the resources through the ships, not the energy, and you have to remember that. But generally, I've had a lot of fun with the Australia map. But even so, I'm getting to the point, the same difficulties with the main base game is that notion of everyone can share everything. I feel like I've done most of it. I get most of my ships out pretty much every game. I've achieved most of contracts. And that's the nature of this game. You have to trigger those 3 out of the 5 end game bonuses in this. And that generally means you've maybe got all the development tiles out or someone's streaked ahead with the victory points. So it almost feels like every single game you're getting the absolute max out of the game, which is great, but it's a slog, folks. Thinking that hard constantly throughout the game, all those decisions, you need to be on the ball. You need to be prepped and ready for this. Don't even get me started on the setup time. It takes me, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but at least 40, 50 minutes to, especially with the expansion, a bit less with the base game, but the expansion, I'm trying to get the certain components, certain numbers not in there, and then I'm reading the one rule set and then referring back to the original rules. So it's just a bit of more setup than I would have liked. I'm not going to go back to the base game, as I've said, but yes, setup time with the Australia, I just can't seem to refine it down to much quicker than sort of 30, 40 minutes there. I haven't played 2-3 times now, so be mindful of that big setup. The length of play, 2 players at least, is going to be 2.5 hours when you get good at it. I don't even know how you can achieve it in an hour and a half. Maybe that's solo play. It took me at least 90 minutes trying to figure the rules out, constantly referring back to what the Baron's going to do. So no idea where 90 minutes comes from. Where do I sit with this game moving forward? I'm excited about the possibility of potential new maps. If they brought out a map of, I don't know, US, Russia, Germany, whatever it may be, I think I'd be very excited about that because the map is the crux for me. It's where you're drawing the sources of Nucleum, the energy, making most of these building tiles and how you're going to energize those to get the most VPs. I love that. Added on to the development of your player board. That just works so well, this constant interaction between looking at your player board, how I can maximize certain things and draw from it, involving your technology and utilize the most of the map. Super. But in terms of adding things like the new expansion with the political vibe, I think it was called Court of Progress. Do I want more layers to the game? Maybe, I'll give it a try, but I just don't feel mega excited to get that and add more to the game, which is, just crazy in depth as it is. Now look, for you guys who like your long, heavy games, and I do, I love those games, you need to play this. It's not a game you can forgo. I've played hundreds and hundreds of economic games, and this is definitely up there. But after a while, it actually is a rather daunting task thinking I've got to get this box out, set it up for 40 minutes. I would be very reluctant to want to teach this game again. But for me, if I could get, random off the top of my head, Food Chain Magnate out, I think I would. An 18xx game, I think I definitely would. Brass, yes, Brass. I would, even I've played that 25 times, it still doesn't bore me. The added layer, as I say, to outdoing your other opponent, when to take the loans, how I'm going to utilise the coal and turn this over for income. But this game, and I think people I've played with that many times now agree with me, it's like, what are we going to get out different from it this time? What am I going to gain? Yes, I have a great time strategizing and developing the engine and making the most of these VPs and getting more workers out of money. But what really is going to be new for me? And that's with the Australia map. So I guess to summarize then, it's a superb production. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck here. The gameplay, crunchy decisions keep you on edge, a lot to think about. And it is a fantastic development and learning experience getting 3-4 plays in. You feel like you've achieved something really special here. But I think if you're looking for that long-term game that you're going to play again and again and again, and you want to teach to a host of people, that's going to be a challenge. This game, if you do get your head around the solo game and you're used to heavy solo games, this could be the one for you. You could leave it there on the table and come back to it. I just think for me, it's missing a few fun, enjoyable aspects I like in games, is that interaction amongst the players. And that's just my personal taste. But overall, I think I am done, folks. Until another map can come out and really sell itself to me, I'm not that enamored with the new expansion, the Court of Progress coming out. I would play it again with only the Australia map. Praha, maybe I could house rule that it's not worth double, but that'll completely mess up all the balance of the game. So yes, that is it for me. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm curious to see you guys. There's always one person who's played like 100 games and is like, yes, this is the best game ever. No doubt about it. Super game, folks. But I just want to let you know what it's all about and how after this many plays, it comes together and if it's still of interest. There we are. Nucleum.